I got called by the RSPCA to a foal that had a piece of metal wrapped around its foot. So on arrival, I attended and sure enough, there was a foal with its mum in a field and it seemed to be moving fine. But when I approached and looked at its feet, I could see it had what looked like a can on its hoof. So when I say a can, I mean like a baked bean can. It was really difficult to notice because it was so well attached to its foot that if you hadn't known it was there, you wouldn't have been able to see it. On the day that I arrived, there was about 5 inches of snow on the ground, and the mare and foal were both in a large field. So catching it with no assistance was out of the question because they had so far to run that I just wasn't able to get anywhere near it. The environment was full of rubbish, quite a lot of hazards. Yeah, it was a pretty bleak place to live, really. In my opinion, when I sort of tried to approach the foal, it seemed completely unhandled. The mare was really friendly and calm, but again, I just couldn't get anywhere near the foal to even really see if there was any damage to the foot. I mean, it was running around quite happily. Obviously, my thoughts were that I didn't want to chase it in case it damaged its foot further. So really, it was a case of having to make a plan to come back and catch it safely. So I went away and put a plan together, contacted a vet, some people to come and help me with regarding catching it, to bring some equipment. We had a dart rifle, we had panels to corral it. Luckily, we didn't end up having to use any of those. Because the mare was so calm, we managed to get her into a small corral and then we could get hold of the foal because he's only little, so it wasn't too much of a problem to secure him. So the foal was slightly underweight. He had overgrown feet and obviously this tin can over one of his back feet.
It's hard to tell because he's so fluffy, but he's definitely skinny.
The mare was really poor body condition. When we got hands on her, because she's so fluffy, it's really difficult to see at a glance, but when we actually got our hands on her, her body condition was really poor. So her ribs were you could feel all the ribs under the fur. Her spine was prominent, her hip bones were prominent. She also had quite overgrown feet to the point where she wasn't actually walking very well. So we needed the vet there because our initial plan was to remove the can in the field. However, we didn't know what was happening underneath. But when the vet sort of got eyes on the mare and also the foal and the way that the can was on its foot, the decision was taken to remove them to a clinic where it could be done in a safe environment in case there was something underneath the can that was going to cause the problem when it was removed. So we got the mare and foal to the clinic and into a stable where the foal was mildly sedated so that we could, without him being in any distress, we could have a proper look at the hoof and the can. Incredibly, there wasn't just one can, there was actually 2 cans on his foot. So whether the foal had stood into a larger can that had a smaller can inside it, and that's how both of them had got onto the hoof, we really just don't know. It was quite an incredible find. So we've been really thinking and racking our brains as to how 2 cans managed to get onto this foal's back foot. It seems incredible that it happened. It's sort of like being struck by lightning, I suppose. But it couldn't have been put on by a person, we don't think, because the foal was we were unable to catch it, and it was incredibly skittish and it appeared completely unhandled. So I don't think that could have been possible. It seems that there was a lot of rubbish in the field, so it seems that the foal must have stood on 2 cans, one inside the other, and that's how they managed to get onto its hoof.
Just get some vet wrap and you can wrap it.
So no owners have come forward for these ponies. So we don't know who the owners of these ponies are. We put an abandonment notice up, which has now come to an end, which means that they are going to be signed over into our care. So with any sort of rescue or welfare concern like this, there's always a little chuckle we have over what we're going to name the ponies. And obviously with this one being uninjured and it not being a particularly sad story, and it being a good rescue. We batted around some really funny names. So Toucan was one. We settled on Tintin with the mum called Snowy, as it was just before Christmas. There was snow on the ground and it felt quite festive. So the ponies had a short stay at the vets where they were transferred to from the original field, and now they've come to our farm here in Norfolk where they're being cared for. They've had their feet done, they're going to be fed the correct diet and rehabilitated and hopefully find amazing new homes. This welfare concern was really about duty of care and how essential it is and important it is to visit and see your horses very, very regularly. These ponies were left and visited maybe 3 or 4 times a year. And you know, horses get themselves into all sorts of situations that they can't get themselves out of. And really, you know, this is a small young foal that really didn't need to be put in this situation at all. It's completely preventable. And luckily there's charities like Wild Horse Welfare that are able to step in and remove them from that situation and give them a good prospect of a great life. It's great for Snowy and Tintin that we were able to be there to help them at their hour of need. But without public donations and public support, we just wouldn't be able to do that. The support from the public gives us the ability to go out, check on these horses and secure their welfare, either by removal or by working with the owners to make their lives better.